If there was a Mount Rushmore of Arizona business titans, GoDaddy founder Bob Parsons would no doubt be on it. He pulled himself out of a rough Baltimore neighborhood, fought in the jungles of Vietnam, then worked his way to founding one of the most iconic companies in our state's history. He tells his story in a new book called Fire in the Hole, and I was able to talk to him about his very eventful life.
I never borrowed any money, and I never had any partners. So that made a couple things real easy.
Outside of those couple of things, there hasn't been a whole lot that has come easy in Bob Parsons' life. His journey to becoming one of the most successful businessmen in our state's history has been filled with hard work, risk, and a little good fortune. From his early life to founding tech company GoDaddy, to becoming a billionaire, to starting golf's PXG, the 73-year-old Parsons reflects on his life in an autobiography released this year called Fire in the Hole. He grew up in a poor family in East Baltimore with a sometimes absent father and a mother who he says was likely suffering some sort of nervous breakdown.
She would take her head and start pounding it into the wall. And then she would then reach up and grab her hair and start pulling it out of her head in clumps. And then she'd look at me and she'd start making these noises like an animal, like, you know, ooh, ooh, ooh. I mean, she was in such pain.
Pain made worse by the family's financial struggles.
But I said, dear God, when I grow up, if I have a family, I promise you, they will always have what they need.
Parsons escaped his troubled upbringing at 17 by enlisting in the U.S. Marine Corps. He was sent to fight in the rice paddies of Vietnam. And he says hours before his first ambush patrol there, he had an epiphany. When
you start to worry about how you're going to survive, you know, it's a pretty dark moment. And, you know, I had think, an anxiety attack, a little one, you know, kind of hard to breathe, you know, that clammy. And then it occurred to me, you know, gradually that I was going to die there. And so I gave myself up for dead.
And he came very close to dying while out on patrol not long after. He was severely injured by a mine and earned a Purple Heart. He keeps his Marine medals on the wall to this day. Parsons says the Marine Corps taught him the discipline he used to write computer code in 60-hour shifts to create Parsons Technology, an early software company. He keeps the old IBM computer he used then in his office now. He named the computer Cinderella.
Well, you know, I'll tell you what, this is a woman I spent probably, you know, 20 hours a day with for a long time. My sweetheart, Cinderella.
Got everything launched for you. Parsons sold that company and used the profits to start up GoDaddy, a company that registered internet domain names. But the startup struggled, and Parsons' seed money was quickly drying up.
When I first started, I would say, okay, I've got $34 million. I'm not going to worry about this business till I have 30 million. Then I get right to 30 million. Then I'd say 25 million. Get there, then 20 million, right? And then 18, then 16, then 12, then 10, then 8, and 6. And when I got to 6, I said, man, I gotta do something, man. This money just like flowing away.
Parsons took a trip to Hawaii to think about it and decide whether or not to give up the company and shut it down. But then he had yet another life-changing realization.
And the epiphany happened where this guy come by to park cars for me, and the guy's my age, and he's really happy. He goes, how you doing, Mr. Parsons? You know, how's your day going? He's throwing my keys up in the air. Here's your keys, sir. You have a wonderful day. And I just thought, well, ain't this guy something? I mean, this guy probably has nothing. He's parking cars, right? And look how happy he is. Me, I got $6 million, and I'm miserable. So it was right then I decided that I'd go back home and I wouldn't shut the company down. And if I went broke, the company went broke, I'd go broke with it.
So, just like in Vietnam, Bob Parsons decided to accept whatever fate awaited him. And then things started to turn around. GoDaddy was turning a profit. The company also got a huge lift when they created an edgy Super Bowl commercial that would turn infamous. Fox yanked a second airing of the commercial that was supposed to run later in the game. Parsons shrewdly let everybody know what happened, that the network had basically banned the commercial, and the resulting publicity made GoDaddy a household name.
I did interviews for a week from morning to, from sun up to sundown. The GoDaddy girl was on every possible show.
So you probably got more free publicity by far than the paid stuff.
About $15 million worth.
GoDaddy's profile continued to rise after Parsons hired race car driver Danica Patrick for a series of commercials. He says he'd go on motorcycle trips during that time and ask random people he met on the way questions about the company.
I'd ask them, have you heard of a company called GoDaddy? And they said, oh yeah, Danica Patrick. Or I would say, have you ever heard of a race car driver named Danica Patrick? She goes, oh yeah, the GoDaddy car. I mean, can you have a better relationship than that?
Parsons then sold just a portion of GoDaddy for over $2 billion. He didn't have to ever work again. But soon he took an interest in the golf business. When he asked then Ping golf club designer Mike Nicolette why golf clubs didn't seem to improve much year to year, Mike answered that he was hampered by cost restrictions and time.
And I said, do you think if you had as much time as you possibly had to design clubs, and you didn't have any, you had money to spend where you need it, you didn't have no limitations there, that you could make a better club? He goes, I'd sure like to try.
Parsons hired Mike away from Ping and created PXG, a high-end golf and apparel company that's seen as a disruptor in the golf business, and it's growing in market share. The clubs are designed right here in the Valley, and Bob's wife, Renee Parsons, is the company's chief marketing officer. When I asked him what he thinks the key is to running a successful business, he told me, you have to love what you do.
Absolutely. I do. Now, are there days when, maybe, for whatever reason, no good deed goes unthanked. You have a few of those moments, but you get past those in a little bit. So, basically, anymore, I'm a happy guy.